Hello and welcome to the Board is On project. Today we discuss recent developments in Georgia, where a huge wave of protest is coming up at the moment in regard with the agreement that was discussed on 8th of March when government and opposition forces, united opposition forces, agreed to change the election system and, as opposition state, release political prisoners. Today our guest is Marketa Gregorova. She is a member of European Parliament. Marketa, hello.
Hi, nice to hear you.
How are you? How are you in this difficult time?
Well, I'm now in Czech Republic, not in Brussels, because that's where all my family and friends are. So it seems like a better place to be quarantined. But yeah, I'm really hoping to get back to normal work and everything soon.
Okay, a few months ago, you, let's say, headed the campaign or initiative from European Parliament when you signed a letter to Georgian authorities in regard with election system change exactly. And in this letter, you and your colleagues stated that you are concerned about developments in Georgia, about failure of election system, protests, dispersal, and etc. I think you follow the current situation. So what will be your reaction on this situation now? Because government said and authorities said that they didn't agree with opposition forces and diplomats, then some political prisoners will be released.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, of course, I'm following it. I'm very unhappy about how it unfolds, because it's actually 2 months ago when the deal was done. The week after, we were supposed to present a resolution on the situation in Georgia. However, as we all know, because of the coronavirus, there has been no standard plenary session in Strasbourg. So the resolution didn't go in. Yet I kind of hope that the negotiations and the deal weren't based just on some, fear of resolution or what will come, but really on genuine agreement between the coalition opposition and all the respective parties. But this doesn't seem like that. Or, of course, I can't know whether this happened because the coronavirus was a great opportunity to do so, or whether this has been planned all along. But I'm very unhappy about the position that the government puts itself into when they say that political prisoners were not part of the deal, even though we were informed, all of us at the beginning, that it is a part of the deal.
American representative, Senate, and Congress representative already made some statements, sent some new letters, posts, and etc. Could you please tell me whether European Parliament, did you talk to your colleagues, I don't know, is following the developments in Georgia and recent process?
Mm-hmm. Most of those that are involved in the Eastern Partnership region and in Georgia especially, of course, follows that. Well, right now in our committees, we are dealing with some recommendation papers on the whole region and on Georgia. I'm actually a rapporteur for the Georgia part. So, of course, we will somehow take it into account. But as is everything kind of in, urgent mode, not really standard mode, it's really hard to coordinate some other response or some more swift response. Of course, we will work on that, but I kind of think that this is also part of the deal why they did so, because they know everything is slowed down now. But I hope that this will solve itself within a few weeks, hopefully.
Could you please tell me which recommendations are you talking about? Is it about Eastern Partnership cooperation or?
Those are, I would call it standard recommendation papers on the whole, let's say, narrative and relationships between EU and the Eastern Partnership countries. It's of course, I'm a new MEP, so I don't know how often this paper is presented, but as I understand it, it's once per the parliament, because of course we are new representatives now, so we need to also set up what are our goals and preferences in terms with Eastern Partnership relations.
Yeah, I would maybe highlight that yes, COVID-19 situation matters in this current process as well, because of course in each country where government do something properly in regard with the virus, they have a better rating, and maybe some kind of democratic developments are not the most interesting issue at the moment for people. Could you please tell me, in your letter that was sent, as I remember, in February, you were saying, you and your colleagues were saying about protest activities as well, and disperses of these protest activities in Georgia. And as I know, and I'm sure that you were here during some of them, so you saw something and you know something. And in a month, we're having like commemoration of Gavrilov's Night, one of the biggest protest activity in recent years, that was also very like violently dispersed. What do you know about these protests, and how does it like look for European Parliament members who follow Georgian developments?
Well, of course, we all know and acknowledge that the protests were what it all started, and the movement that started to surround it, because it wasn't at the beginning about opposition being against coalition. Of course, that happens all the time. But people, normal people going to streets and presenting their dissatisfaction with what is happening. That's what mattered at the beginning, and I feel like it's something that should still matter now. As far as I know, most of the protesters or their representatives weren't even invited to the roundtables where the deal was negotiated, which I personally already considered not very inclusive and correct, because they were the ones who were able to bring even opposition together and all the people together to strive for some common goals. So
how do you evaluate this disperse? Because this is the biggest like issue for Georgia this year, when lots of people lost their eyes, and in a month we all will remember this date. How do you see this picture from Czech Republic, from Brussels? What I mean is that government is saying that there was some attempt to aggressively attack the parliament building and etc. But there were a few thousand of people who were attacked by gas and rubber bullets. So how do you see it from Europe? It's very important to understand whether you see the situation as we see it here.
Well, of course, we discussed it also already before that. I hope you can hear me, because I lost the video of you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's one of our biggest fears, actually, especially regarding the fail of the deal, because we are very afraid that the possibility of violence can happen again. And I, of course, don't mean just from the side of the protesters, or maybe not even from their side, but even from those people that might try to spark conflict or violence within the protests. And of course, considering that the deal didn't really succeed now, and the government is saying that they won't release any political prisoners, means that the protests will be even more heated and more dramatic. And we were very afraid of that. And well, first, of course, I hope that won't happen, because violence and these things that you are actually reminding with this event shouldn't be repeated again, because that's very grave. What I think is that the government should really ensure that either the deal is fulfilled, so that there is no incentive or no reason to make the protests really, heated and passionate, but also they should make sure that there isn't any stepping out of the line from both the protesters and police, of course.
European Union ambassador, who were one of the initiators of this discussion format, also took part, of course, in the meeting on 8th of March when agreement was signed. And on Monday, when Archil Talakladze, the chair of Georgian parliament, said that, no, we did not discuss any kind of release of political prisoners, he requested from ambassadors, including EU ambassador, to come out and say that it was not on the table. Of course, understanding that they cannot do it because it was like close of the record meeting. How do you evaluate such kind of statements on behalf of Georgian authorities towards European American ambassadors?
Well, it's really it's of course on the ambassadors. What will they do out of it, and how will they behave in the future towards the Georgian government and the officials who are claiming this? But if that isn't true, and we were informed also on 8th of March that the deal was as it was from all parties. So if they are now claiming something that is not true, that should be a really diplomatic scandal. Of course, it's always on a diplomatic level, so it's not something that will the media really grasp or publish. But internally, politically, it will be a huge problem, because when you can't trust your partners, how are you supposed to cooperate and work?
Do you think that, because you follow Georgia and you work on some recommendations, do you believe that such kind of problems, issues between European Union and Georgia will some kind affect bilateral relations in the future, like between country and the European Union as institutions, not as governments and some people who may leave anytime?
Well, definitely. Georgia has been always in the eyes of the EU, from the Eastern Partnership countries, one of the most advanced, most proactive, most reformed. And now it's starting to backslide. So naturally, the EU sees that, and of course we care, and we want to do something about it, but it can be unilateral just from our side. We can't solve everything. It has to be really bilateral. So if the government isn't willing to take the necessary steps, then of course there is just as much as we can do, and then it will be of course also up to you and NGOs and the pressure of the public to the government, or also pressure of the public towards others, so that, for example, in the next elections, this is also taken into account on how is the government acting towards its partners abroad.
According to your knowledge, in Georgia, elections are transparent and fair and free?
According to my knowledge, so far, yes.
Very good. Could you please tell me, the last thing? I know you're in a hurry. I'm thinking about the statements that government do all the time, and I'm very, person who live here, I'm very happy to hear it, that Georgia is still the best partner of European Union, and relations with EU and United States are on the top level ever. Would you say it is like this now? Because they did these statements yesterday, before yesterday.
Well, I'm following the situation in Georgia and, of course, the relationships for some time now already. Of course, it's not like dozens of years, but some time. And as I said, yes, I think that in the past this was really the case, but now it's kind of exciting. And I don't want to see that, because I really want for Georgia to be closer to the EU and to strive, because I also do care. So I don't think it's on its peak right now. It's rather getting down, but it doesn't mean that it can't, get to its peak again, or to at least somehow balance. It doesn't have to be at a peak all the time, but also if it's just going down, that's also not the best case. So maybe let's make it, more balanced and neutral.
Very, very last. We were actually together on the occupation lines in Georgia, and at the moment we have new occupation wave in one of the villages, and I'm very interested whether you, for example, informed about this situation, because new meters right now, starting the end of April, are being annexed by Russian forces. Do you know about it? Because if you don't know, European Union don't know.
Well, even though I'm following a lot of this very closely, a lot of information doesn't get to my ears. And I don't know why. I wonder whether, the Georgian media are not allowed to talk about it too much, or whether the Georgian government doesn't want to share it. Of course, the Georgian government talks about borderization, and they are very keen on solving it, or at least that's how they phrase it. But I don't have that many information about new cases. I had the most information when I was actually in Georgia on the spot, but it is kind of impractical considering I have to be in Brussels, So,
I would like to use this opportunity and inform you that after we were there, I think it was July or August, I don't remember, starting September, no journalists, no activists, no one in general are allowed to visit occupation lines where some works are in the process. Only one place where all diplomats go with police, where nothing is going on and you can just stand there and look on some military base, but not the real process, not the problem we're facing at the moment. So I'm just using this opportunity to inform you about it because I think it's important.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. I hope I didn't cause that by my presence.
No. It's not about you, of course.
Good.
It's about all of us because lots of information were coming out, and as I see, it's not maybe very good for someone in this world. We won't say for who. Yeah. Thanks a lot, and please follow Georgian developments in the future. It's very important, and contact us in case you need some additional information.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Have a good way out from quarantine. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you. It was a border zone project we discussed with European Parliament member Marketa Gregorova, who was one of the initiators of the letter from EU members in February towards Georgian government, where they said that the agreement must be signed about election system change, as well as release of political prisoners. And I want to highlight that the same as Senator Risch, from chair of the Foreign Relations Committee of the Senate, he said that political prisoners are part of this agreement and they must be released. And the same is with EU Parliament member Marketa Gregorova, who said that she was informed and European Parliament members were informed that political prisoners are part of the deal and they must be released. Yeah, I'm highlighting it because government at the moment say that it was not part of the deal, and that's why the whole deal about election system change may fail. Thanks a lot.